What's up guys, Ember Power here and welcome back to a new video. In this one we're going to be taking a look at Ho-Ho V, which is a super cool Pokemon V coming out in Silver Tempest. What does Ho-Ho V actually do? Well, it's a 230 HP non-evolving V, which is pretty tanky in all fairness for a V, and what we do want is, tankiness because Palkia can just reach one of KOs pretty easily. It has weakness to lightning, which isn't terribly relevant because Flying Pikachu is kind of on the decline. It also has resistance to fighting, which isn't particularly useful. It's not the best, but is what it is, I guess. If Urshifu ever does come back, but fairly unlikely. But still, it's an alright resistance. Some resistance is better than not, and it has two really good effects: Flames of Rebirth and Rainbow Burn. So Flames of Rebirth says once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in your discard pile, you may put this Pokemon onto your bench and attach up to 4 basic energy cards from your discard pile to this Pokemon. If you use this ability, however, your turn will end. And then Rainbow Burn does 100 damage for 4 colorless energy, and then 30 more for each unique type of basic energy attached to Ho-Ho. So, assuming we have 4 unique basic energy, we are actually doing 220 damage, which is a fair amount in all honesty. And because of the amount of unique basic energy we can play in the standard format, we can actually end up attaching a load of these and smack for massive damage with Rainbow Burn. And that's kind of like the whole point of the deck, basically. So Serena is also a new supporter from Silver Tempest that I'll quickly go over, that has a choose 1 out of 2 effects. One of them is discard up 3 cards from your hand. If you discard any cards in this way, draw cards until you have 5 in your hand. This supporter is just super good in Ho-Ho because it will allow you to discard the 3 different basic energies, and then we can use Flames of Rebirth to essentially charge up Ho-Ho in that same turn. We also have the second effect, which is to switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon V with their active Pokemon. Many Ho-Ho lists I've seen don't actually play Boss's Orders and would rather just play 3 or 4 Serena, because Serena doubles as a way of accelerating energy with Ho-Ho, as well as, just switching one of your opponent's Pokemon V and essentially acting as your gusting option. Something else I would like to bear in mind is these 2 new tablets that are coming out in Silver Tempest, Forest Seal Stone and Earthen Seal Stone. I've talked about these a lot because they are pretty interesting, but they will essentially give a Pokemon V a V-Star power, which is super cool and unique because there is obviously some Ho-Ho decks that don't have a V-Star power to work with, so keeping these open as a nice option is pretty cool. It's also worth bearing in mind that the Ho-Ho V decks I'm looking at today were released during the period of Arcana, Incandescent Arcana, released in Japan. So these cards have not been released over in Japan yet. So we will see everything together in Silver Tempest, but Japan only has access to Ho-Ho V and Serena. They don't actually have access to these 2 tablets just yet. So Forest Seal Stone will allow you to, once per game, just search your deck for any card. It's kind of like a mini Starbirth. And then Earthen Seal Stone will allow you to put damage counters on all of your opponent's Pokemon V until they have 100 HP remaining, allowing you to take massive 1-hit KOs with your other Ho-Hos for the rest of the game. So just thought it was worth bearing those cards in mind. But without further ado, the first list we'll take a look at is a one paired up with Gardevoir. So there is a new Curlia, which we'll see with the ability, that says once in your turn, you just may discard a card from your hand and draw 2 cards. This list is obviously playing like 4 Quick Ball, 4 Level Ball, 3 Evolution Incense, 2 Ultra Ball, so it has very easy access to these Curlia. And, Curlia will just act as a bit of a draw engine for you, as well as discarding energy, which obviously is great synergy for Ho-Ho's Rebirth ability. It also plays 3 copies of Gardevoir, funnily enough. The one with the Shining Arcana, I believe, is the ability name. That allows you to look at the top 3 cards of your deck, attach any number of basic energy to one you want to your Pokemon any way you like, and then you can just draw the rest. Suitably fine ability, in all honesty. It's just nice because you'll get to a point in the game where you don't need loads of Curlias on the board. You can just change them into Gardevoirs, and then we can start to use that ability in combination with cards like Energy Recycler to, shovel loads of energy back into the deck, thin out with Research and Serena, and then just, hopefully attach up to 3 basic energy with Gardevoir. The deck, funny enough, is also running 1 copy of Jirachi V, which will allow you to move a basic energy from one of your Ho-Ho V after it dies to another benched Ho-Ho V. And that's essentially what Jirachi is here for, and it just allows you to conserve some more energy. So seeing as this list was released before Paradigm Trigger drops in Japan, you can obviously make use of one of the new tablets. So I would recommend either Forest Seal Stone or Earthen Seal Stone as a potential option in this deck. So yeah, seems pretty cool. Also note the high count of Serena, running 3 copies, 4 research, 1 Zinnia's Resolve, funnily enough, and then 1 Raihan, and then obviously loads of unique basic energy. So yeah, should be pretty cool. So we have here a Darkrai version. I know everyone's been saying that Darkrai is very underrated, but of course it's yet to really have that real breakthrough in the format. It's not really done anything in the time that it's been around since its debut in Astral Radiance. But who knows? Maybe this could finally be Darkrai's time to shine. Feels a bit like Copium at this point, to be honest. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, Ho-Oh V obviously just allowing you to accelerate 4 dark energies when it comes back from the discard pile. So very, very good synergy with a card like Darkrai that just wants to flood the board rather with energies, I should say. So yeah, pretty cool. Also worth noting, this list is only playing 5 supporters, 4 research, 1 Roxanne, and then just relying on like the turbo engine. Lacking in trekking shoes, funnily enough, which I find super interesting because you are only playing 5 supporters. But I don't know. Maybe this person thinks it's worth it, but yeah, should be interesting. This next list is probably one of the most bonkers ones that I've seen in a while. It's kind of like one of these, you throw everything in the deck and then it maybe works. It sort of acts as like a massive counterbox to everything. Jack of all trades, master of none, maybe could end up being like that. But essentially, what you're trying to do with this deck is use Ho-Oh V to come back from the discard pile with a bunch of different basic energies, and then you want to make use of Thornton to switch into any one of your optional attackers that will help you win that matchup. So, for example, Moltres V for Mewtwo, something like Reshiram to get a massive 1-hit KO in combination with, I was going to say Zigzagoon, but there is no Zigzagoon. So Reshiram in combination with Choice Belt, potentially, to 1-hit KO a V-Star, or even to combo into an Yveltal to get a 1-hit KO on any Pokemon in the game. It's also making use of a Mew engine to allow you to thin out the deck of items. You're playing 4 Energy Search, funnily enough, which is kind of bonkers, but I guess is what the deck needs. It also is playing 4 Trekking Shoes, which is where I would go with Ho-Oh, to be honest. So yeah, I'm pretty big fan of this list. I think it's super cool. Also running 2 Diancie. I didn't really mention this with the previous one, but this list over here was actually running the 3 Diancie just to allow you to prevent your opponent from bossing up Ho-Oh V and essentially forcing their first prize card to be a Diancie, as opposed to, just bossing your Ho-Oh after you've used your ability. So yeah, super cool list. Super excited to see how this turns out if Thornton ends up being really good here, but yeah, seems pretty cool. This next list is everyone's favorite deck to face on the ladder right now. That is Lost Zone. To be honest, I'm not so sure about this one. Out of all the Ho-Oh lists I've seen, I'm really not that sure about this one because it's just like, what does Ho-Oh really provide for Lost Zone apart from maybe a 2-prize liability? Yes, it's a wee bit tanky, has 230 hit points, and I guess that's kind of like a massive appeal in a format where, Sableye and Cramorants are doing like 110, 120 kind of damage, and then Ho-Oh just comes in there with 230 hit points. But, yeah, I'm not too sold on this one, but yeah, it's a very interesting list regardless. Also playing the collapsed stadium, I believe it is, that will shrink each player's bench size down to 4. So 3 rather. So yeah, very interesting, but yeah, I'm not so sure about this one. I'll have to let you guys decide if this is any good, but super cool list either way. We also have an Arceus variant, which is very sus in the fact it's not playing any double turbo energy, so you will be attacking. I guess you can attack sooner with Ho-Oh because you have trekking shoes and stuff, but and for Serena 3 Alistair. So shoutouts to remember what Alistair does because it's pretty bad, but either way. Yeah, this is an interesting one because obviously we don't see cards like Alistair seeing a ton of play. It's also one of these decks that's playing a high count of basic energy, so we're trying to make use of Ho-Oh in the early game. Then maybe use. I guess what you want to try and do is use the first Arceus V's Trinity Nova to accelerate to Ho-Oh, and then once you've used Ho-Oh or Arceus, you then use Arceus to charge up the next Ho-Oh, I guess. But yeah, seems pretty interesting. Also playing the Forest Arena, so we are seeing a bit of pattern about a bit of a pattern here with the 4 copies of Serena. But yeah, I guess the Lost Zone deck is the only one that's not really playing the high Serena counts. But yeah, Pretty cool card, Ho-Ho, in all honesty. I think it could be pretty good. It's got a ton of options. And yeah, there's not really much else to say. It seems like a super cool card. Whether or not it'll be very competitive is, remains to be seen, I guess. But yeah, super cool list. Let me know what you think down below. And yeah, thank you for watching. It's been Empower. Hope to see you all next time. And yeah, thank you for watching.